That feeling that your entire paycheck goes to rent has a cause few people see. The true villain of the housing crisis isn't the cost of concrete, but the artificially inflated value of the ground you walk on. Zoning laws, created to organize cities, ended up becoming a weapon of exclusion. By restricting what can be built and where, they created an artificial scarcity of space. Location became a luxury asset, and every square foot in a desirable area became a financial battlefield. Think of the story of someone who grew up in a neighborhood and can no longer afford the rent in the same place. The community is torn apart. People are forced to live hours away from their jobs, not because new homes are expensive to build, but because the land they could be built on has been monopolized. This debunks a dangerous myth that simply building more solves the problem. It's pointless to build if the cost of the land remains the largest part of the equation. The radical solution? A land value tax, which penalizes those who leave land vacant for speculation and incentivizes the efficient use of the land we have. Vienna proves that high-quality housing for the majority of the population is a political decision, not an economic miracle. Forget the image of social housing projects as something gray and low quality. In Vienna, more than 60% of the population lives in high-quality, rent-controlled housing with incredible design, perfectly integrated into the city. It's a system born over a century ago, based on consistent, long-term public investment. The secret isn't a communist-style state system. Vienna fostered a powerful intermediate sector of cooperatives and limited profit associations. They build and manage high-quality properties without the goal of maximizing profit, forcing the private market to compete and, consequently, lower its prices. The result is housing security for generations. It's the end of the tyranny of the next rent hike. For a family, this means less stress, the ability to invest in their community, and the freedom to build a life without the constant fear of eviction. To hack density and live well in smaller spaces, design matters infinitely more than gross square footage. The word density makes us think of gloomy concrete towers and tiny apartments. But that's a failure of imagination. The issue isn't how small the space is, but how smart it is. Design isn't decoration, it's functionality. Look at the concept of co-living when it's done right. It's not an expensive dorm, but a model that reduces private areas to invest in high-quality common spaces, a chef's kitchen, a gym, a workspace. The social software makes the compact hardware work. This also debunks another myth. Density doesn't have to be vertical. There is gentle density, the so-called missing middle housing. Townhouses, duplexes, and small 3 to 4 story buildings that integrate smoothly into the urban fabric, increasing the housing supply without creating concrete monsters. What if you and your future neighbors could, together, fire the developer and their 30% profit margin? It sounds radical, but it's an established model in Germany called Baugruppen, or building groups. Future residents form a cooperative, buy a plot of land, and hire architects and builders directly. The middleman, the real estate developer, is eliminated from the process. One of the most iconic examples is the R50 project in Berlin. Since there was no developer imposing a generic design to maximize profit, the residents themselves decided to create large balconies that act as extensions of their living rooms, and a large common courtyard that became the heart of the building. The result is threefold. The apartments cost up to 30% less, they are completely customized to the real needs of the families, and, most importantly, the building is born with a strong sense of community. People didn't just buy an apartment, they built a home together. The most powerful solution to the housing crisis is hidden in the most boring and invisible place, your city's building code. Outdated rules written decades ago silently suffocate the creation of new housing. Mandatory parking minimums, excessive setbacks, and prohibitions on more than one unit per lot. These rules seem technical, but their effect is devastating. The invisible solution is the ADU, or accessory dwelling unit, the famous backyard cottage or granny flat. Cities like Portland, Oregon, reformed their codes to allow and simplify the construction of these small units. The result? Thousands of new housing units added to the city without any large controversial construction. This destroys the NIMBY fear. Allowing this gentle density doesn't destroy the neighborhood. On the contrary, it allows children to live near their parents, lets seniors earn extra income by renting out space, and brings more people to support local businesses. It adds life, not chaos. The real battle for affordable housing isn't for the house itself, but for control of the ground it sits on. There's a model called the Community Land Trust, or CLT. The logic is brilliant. A nonprofit community organization owns the land permanently. Residents buy or build only the structure, paying a much lower price. The city of Burlington, Vermont is the greatest success story. The Champlain Housing Trust has become one of the largest landowners in the city, ensuring permanently affordable housing for thousands of low- and middle-income families, even as property values soar around them. This creates the best of both worlds. The resident has the security of ownership and can build equity, but if they decide to sell, a portion of the appreciation is reinvested into the trust. This guarantees the home will remain affordable for the next generation. It's the stability of home ownership without the predatory logic of speculation.
Our cities suffer from a cruel paradox: streets full of homeless people and homes full of no one. In major urban centers, thousands of properties are kept vacant. They don't function as homes, but as financial assets, like gold bars with windows. They are investments by funds or billionaires waiting for appreciation while the city suffers from a housing shortage. Data from cities like Vancouver show that thousands of units remain unoccupied year-round. This forced vacancy creates an artificial scarcity that pushes rents up for everyone else. It's a social disaster hidden in investment spreadsheets. The solution is punitive and necessary: a progressive tax on vacant properties. Making it financially painful to leave a property empty for too long forces the owner to put it on the market, either for rent or for sale. It's a matter of urban justice. Homes should be for housing people, not just capital. The most brilliant, sustainable, and fastest housing solution is the one that already exists. The pandemic accelerated a trend: empty downtowns. We have a vast stock of underused office buildings and industrial warehouses. The smartest solution isn't always to demolish and build from scratch, but to adapt and convert what we already have. Retrofit projects around the world are transforming concrete skeletons into vibrant homes. Technical challenges exist, like adapting plumbing and electrical infrastructure, but the benefits are enormous: less construction waste, preservation of the city's history, and the creation of unique lofts and apartments that don't fit the standard market mold. This vision for the future is more humane and efficient. The city of the future isn't just made of glass towers and new construction, it's made from a more creative, flexible, and intelligent use of the giant puzzle of buildings we already have. A city is a living organism, and its ability to adapt is its greatest strength. Which of these concepts best describes your city or the solution it needs most? I want to read your opinion in the comments. It's your suggestions that define the next videos on this channel. And if you want to keep decoding the world around you, subscribe so you don't miss the next video.